Hey folks, in this video I want to talk about consistency. This is something that I've kind of learned in this year in 2022 when I started doing cycling, and I want to talk about some experience from that and just talk about consistency in general too. So I have actually cycled before. This was in 2020, just before. So I'm in India, and in India, 2020 March was when the lockdowns for COVID started. So before that, around January, February, I was actually cycling. I was actually cycling a lot. I was renting cycles, bicycles, and then cycling. And then I stopped after the lockdown. I didn't want to rent cycles because a lot of people used to rent cycles. I didn't want to, create a situation where I touch cycles that others touched and then like get COVID. And at the time in 2020, when I was cycling, I remember I used to cycle for say 10 kilometers every day on weekdays in the morning just before I went to work. I had to commute to work, so I went 10 kilometers. Someday I did 5, 10. I started out with like 4, 5, and then I started doing 10, a lot of 10 kilometers. I started doing 20, I started doing 30. I remember doing 40 kilometers at times. I remember doing once some 70 kilometers, like one stretch. And I was doing all of this, and I realized, I was starting to notice that I could do these, but I was also starting to have pain in my calf muscle, and I could feel basically that I was wearing out, like as in getting tired. Say if I cycled for 40 kilometers a day, the next day I would feel tired, like to even wake up in the morning and then go for another ride. But I just pushed myself. I was like, hey, this pain is just going to be there, and this is going to be that will go away once I do something or like move around. This was true for some time, but it didn't go for long, at least for me. I'm not sure how it works. As in, like, I really have no idea about like how people do workouts and like how people push their bodies to do more and when to push and when not to push. But in my case, I kept pushing. I remember doing that, even when there was like not extreme pain, but there was slight pain in muscles and whatnot. And then at some point, I was very tired to even cycle. And then I started running at some point because I just wanted to keep doing something. And so instead of cycling, I moved to running. So in running, I couldn't even do like say a few meters, few hundred meters without just taking a breath. Like I was breathing a lot. I was struggling to breathe when I was running, and I did 5 kilometers running, and like I was trying to run in such a way that I cover more kilometers. I run for more time, but the reality was I didn't have the energy to actually run, and like as in I wasn't used to it. I just decided to run one day, and that's it. So I wanted to, in this whole thing that I just spoke about, if you look at it, before this, I had cycled before, but I hadn't cycled for many kilometers, and I hadn't actually run much. So what was going on was I was trying to just quickly do something that was not doable by me to feel good and to feel like I achieved something that's impossible for me or like that I felt was impossible for me. But the reality was like I also just stopped doing those things immediately also. Like I went for 70 kilometers cycling, and then but then I just stopped and then I started running and then I just stopped immediately. And I remember like picking it up again, walking, running, and what I did was like I thought, okay, let me actually try to do little by little. And I started figuring out like, okay, let me just do 15 minutes or 30 minutes of walking and running together, a mix of walking and running. So I used to actually go for like 5 minutes of a walk and then run for 5 minutes and then come back, like walk back and then, like walk for 5 more minutes. Around 15-20 minutes I used to do this. I was like, I want to do it very small. I don't want to do it like big grand, like run and walk for a lot of kilometers and like tire myself up and like burn myself out. And what happened in this process was I realized that like I was trying to cover a distance by walking and running, one particular fixed distance, going out of my house and then coming back to my house. And I had this fixed thing in my head where I was like, I will walk till this around this place for 5 minutes, and then from that place to another place, I'll run for 5 minutes, and then I'll walk back. So basically, I had a fixed distance. I also kind of had a fixed timing. I had a timer, 5 minutes timer, to walk for 5 minutes and then run for 5 minutes, and then walking the last 5 minutes or 10 minutes, whatever happened, was not timed. So I did this. I actually burned myself out even in this case because what happened was, I mean, I didn't burn myself out. More like I tired myself. So what happened was I walked for 5 minutes and then I ran for 5 minutes, and then I was again walking. And what happened was I realized like I expected myself to actually reach some position in those 5 minutes, like cover a distance. And then in those 5 minutes of running, the next 5 minutes of running, I wanted to cover some distance. I just was ambitious and like I was like, hey, I have to run faster, to reach this distance because the previous day I had reached that distance, but today I'm slower. Let's go faster. So basically, there was a fixed distance and then a fixed time, so I had to go in a particular speed on an average at least. But if I slowed down, say in the initial few meters, I'll have to speed up to actually catch up for that time and like the slow speed initial. So I was basically just, tiring myself out in a very bad manner. So I did this for some time and then I stopped. So based on this whole experience, what I realized was like I'm trying to basically keep some goals in my head, goals that don't exactly make sense, and goals that are not keeping in my head some proper priorities. I'm being just ambitious, like I want to do this every day. I want to reach this. I mean, too many goals. Like I want to do this every day consistently. I want to do this like in 5 minutes. I want to cover this distance, and then I want to do this every day for this much time, and like without getting tired and whatnot. Right? Like I want to do this, but the reality was it's hard to actually keep up so many constraints and goals and like be like this because it's not sustainable. It's you can't. I mean, at least I couldn't do it consistently. So this is what I came to. I came to realize like you know I was like, okay, I'm just being too ambitious. Instead, I need to do this something consistently. I need to actually level up slowly and not have impossible feats or impossible goals for myself, or goals that actually tire me or burn me out, and then like also ensure that they help me do things consistently. So nowadays what I do is I go cycling every day as much as possible. I try to do that. I did take a break around, this last week. And if you look at that, I took a break on one day due to some body pain, and then I had to take a break for some time because of that body pain. I didn't take care of my neck, and I had to take some time off, and then it was weird to actually go back to cycling, as in I was lazy. So I realized like I had to take care of my health very much and also do things very consistently. And also for consistently cycling in the month of January and even in the start of February, I was cycling a lot every day, every weekday. And I was cycling very few kilometers. Like I could cycle 70 kilometers because I've done that before, but I didn't want to do that. I didn't want to kill myself. Like I didn't want to burn myself out. So what I did was I did 5 kilometers every day, or maybe 7 kilometers. I just do around 5 kilometers these days. It's very small. It's a very small distance actually. Or in cycle, it takes like 15-20 minutes, max 30 minutes, depending on the speed. In a very slow speed, probably 20-30 minutes. And I also ensure that I don't tire myself out in this whole thing. the whole idea is to simply just cycle, not look at speed. Sometimes I actually get ambitious and enthusiastic and be like, okay, let's speed up. But then I realized, like, if I speed up, I'm going to just tire myself out that moment, or that I'm going to sprint basically. And the next day I might be tired or something, or I might injure myself, or I might have a sore muscle, or just my muscles might pain, my calf muscles and something like that. And that's going to actually put a dent on the next day's experience, and then it goes on putting a dent, and then I might not cycle someday because I might have some body pain or something like that. I might be just tired to even cycle. I might just not feel good about cycling. The experience itself might be bad, that as in the previous experiences, continuous bad experiences might just make me feel like, okay, this is not great for me. So what I'm aiming for now consistently is like just cycling. Just create a habit of cycling. Be okay with it. Be okay to cycle, not be lazy, and make it a norm. Make it something very simple. Make it frictionless, so there is no problem in like cycling. Removes as much as roadblocks as possible, so that it's easier to cycle. And like, for example, actually it's harder to cycle in the evenings, because there's more traffic and whatnot. It's easier to cycle in the early morning when there's like not much vehicles on the roads, on Indian roads. So it's best to actually just wake up early and then cycle than actually have a bad experience going in the evening, because bad experiences just don't help. And recently, I've been having like multiple bad experiences because I didn't wake up early in the morning, so I'm just skipping early morning cycling to going in the evenings after work, and then that's just like pretty crazy. Driving in traffic, and it's like too smoky, lot of smoke, lot of dust, and it's also not a very good experience. You just drive through a lot of vehicles, and so basically, the idea for me now is like to do something consistently, remove roadblocks as much as possible. I know these are like no-brainers, but this is something that I have learned from experience. I still make a lot of mistakes, but the idea is I want to like talk about it, and I want to actually learn from my mistakes and learn from my choices and make the choices that work for me. So one example is basically cycling, where I try to cycle every day. I try to cycle in the mornings as much as possible, for which I have to sleep early in the night so that I can wake up early in the morning. And I don't cycle too much, but just enough, like say 5 kilometers, or say a max of 7 kilometers. That's what I've done in the past, but usually it's just 5 kilometers. I have a fixed route now, which I go through, and I just come back home, and that fixed route is around 5 kilometers. And I try to do it every day, even on work days and weekends. I know folks who actually cycle only for some days, like say 4 days a week or 5 days a week, and then do workouts on one day and then take rest on one day. For me, my cycling routine is pretty lightweight. It doesn't actually tire me so much, really. It doesn't tire me at all, I think, because I just ride slowly. I very rarely I ride fast. I get enthusiastic and ride fast, which is not a great thing because I ride fast. I basically use up more energy, burning more calories, yes. But I wouldn't be like doing that consistently then, because I would tire myself out, and the next day I might just not cycle, which is a bad thing for me. So I don't want to actually burn calories. My whole idea is to simply just consistently cycle. I don't even actually just do warm ups much these days before cycling, because I just cycle very slowly. I don't do any sudden movements or very fast cycling, because if I don't warm up and then do something like that very intense, I might just injure myself. Sometimes I do warm up in the mornings, and like I've also noticed that if I actually warm up very intense, in a wrong manner, I just started doing warm ups. I haven't learned much, but if I do something wrong, I injure myself even in a warm up. That's kind of impossible, I guess, for some, but I just did that once. And so yeah, I just did some sudden movements and then got some ache. So I was doing jumping jacks and that happened. And so yeah, I think the whole idea for me now is like just do something consistently, for which remove roadblocks, focus on the goal of consistency than other stuff, usually, at least in the start. Don't be over enthusiastic and things like that. So I've been like enthusiastic sometimes, like sometimes I have done cycling twice in a day, and what has happened in those cases was like I was like suddenly afraid when I did cycling twice in a day once. I was like, I went for like 7 kilometers and 7 kilometers, around 14 kilometers. Usually I just do 5 kilometers in a day and only for a few minutes. So I was like, oh my God, I cycled in the morning and evening and I cycled too much. Will this tire me and like, will I cycle tomorrow? Because if I'm tired and I don't cycle the next day, that's just a dent in my consistency. I mean, it's okay, but still one break can actually one slip. I can actually easily slip off and never like not much cycle much at all and become lazy and like not cycle much. So I think aiming for consistency, not being enthusiastic, not being like so enthusiastic that you burn yourself out is all like very important. At least that's what I've learned for myself. Trying to go step by step. So I'm just trying to do 5 kilometers every day as much as possible. I'm still not great at it, but I'm doing as much as possible. And I'm ensuring that the whole only goal is like the whole goal is like just cycle every day. It's not burning calories, it's not anything else, it's just cycle every day and just do that consistently. And I think once I hit that, I might just do fast cycling or I might just do more kilometers, probably more kilometers, but I'm not sure. It really requires more time. But ensure that I still do five at least every day and like try to do that as a consistent thing so that I'm actually moving and I'm not having I'm actually doing some sort of kind of exercise and I'm not like having a sedentary life but instead doing something to move around and so that's the whole aim as of now and for that I want to just consistently do something like this which is starting with cycling. Probably later I might start doing walking, running. I think running is a very good intense exercise, but running consistently is not a simple task. But yeah, as of now, I'm just aiming for consistently cycling. And I think this kind of learning around consistency and sustainably doing something consistently is something really great. And once you experience this and like learn it and understand that, okay, so I want to sustain, I want to do a marathon, like metaphor, like, just you want to run longer, you don't want to do a short sprint and stop. So it's an infinite game. You just want to keep going. So you want to do it consistently for a long time. So you ensure that you don't get enthusiastic and like over ambitious and then try to do too many things at once, like overdo things or like just burn yourself out, overwhelm yourself out, and like suddenly stop. But of course, if that happens, it's okay. Like for me, I was okay to just stop. I didn't wanna like burn myself out or like injure myself. I stopped. I think it's great to take a break and then rethink your methods and then understand how you can actually course correct and correct whatever crazy choices have been made and then go ahead and like do it in a more improved manner. I think life is all about like just keep improving. Yesterday you versus today you. So at least that's what I try to think about whenever I think about myself. Whenever I end up thinking, hey, what's going on? I want to just see my progress. Then I look at yesterday me versus today me. And I also think about the same thing when I actually, uh, insult myself by just comparing myself with others. I come back and think, okay, hey, forget all that, forget others. Think about you. What about yesterday you versus today you is what I think. And I think that's how my consistency game works, as in trying to just do something every day and especially the I think the hardest thing for me is just reminding myself to do something and also prioritizing and like doing it and getting it done. It's no easy task. people procrastinate, people put other things that were like in the top, so yeah, it just happens, things happen. But I try to remind myself every day, okay, these things are important for me. I want to try to do them. And I try to do them at some point in the day and, be like, okay, I want to be consistent with this whole thing. Let's do it every day. And at some point, I think you will not even find it hard to actually remind yourself in case you're forgetting like me, because it's going to be a habit and it's just going to happen. Like it's just going to automatically happen. You'll just think of it because your mind is just used to it over a period of time. So I think that's how great habits just form. So yeah, that's all I wanted to talk about in this video about consistency. Thanks, and I'll see you in next one. Bye bye.